and also convey a sort of message, I think, that describes that color or shows that color has a sort of symbol on its own, I guess, if that makes sense. But I'm going to start with the title, the BR and the BA right here. I was uh, really hard on myself at first. Like, I was really meticulous about lines and making sure nothing was like out of like the lines, I guess. But as I kind of went on, I was a little bit sloppier. But the BR and the BA actually look pretty good, which are like chemical elements from the periodic table. I'm not sure exactly what letters they are or what elements they are. But anyway, um, I then went to do these crystals, which is like this blue section over here, and I wanted to include these obviously because the whole show is about Walter making crystal meth, and his is unique not only because it's 99.1% pure, but also because it's blue. Blue meth is not chemically or scientifically accurate or plausible, but I think it adds like a interesting element that makes the show unique. It's also, I don't think, allowed to like show every single factual step when it comes to making meth, because then, dumb kids will go home and try and do it. So I think that's why they have to make some errors in their development of that. But I also included this sky right here because Walter's wife is named Skylar, and she kind of represents this like purity that the blue gives off. She wears blue in a lot of the episodes. When she's not wearing blue, she's wearing like black to symbolize like something bad that's gonna happen, or she's depressed or something like that throughout the show. But yeah, this whole blue kind of represents purity and like safety. And I drew this glove because they wear gloves for safety when making the meth, which is kind of like a key staple there. And now I'm gonna go over to like this green section over here, which is what I started doing next. Again with like the safety thing, Walter always wears, an apron just to make sure he can keep the meth part of his life outside of his family life, so he can come home and take the apron off, and whatnot, and be fine. Well, he'll take the apron off before he comes home, but whatnot. Anyway, green also symbolizes greed, obviously. Money is a huge factor in this show. I have like a huge pile of money in the right hand corner. And at the end, towards the end of the show, there's like this scene where there's just a mound of cash, which shows just how much destruction and damage has gone into Walter White's journey to becoming, Heisenberg, and how I wrote here, money is the key to Walter White's greed and fortune, um, or his whatever he's doing is the key to his fortune, I guess. But he doesn't really do it for the right reasons. He says it's for his family, but it's actually for power, which kind of goes into this like black section over here. But I drew this turtle right here with a head on it because there's a scene where the FBI agents are investigating a crime done by the cartel, and Hank gets scared because the cartel leader puts literally a severed head on top of a turtle, and it's just a crazy scene. But I also drew the Statue of Liberty, which kind of represents freedom, and Saul Goodman, who becomes Walter's lawyer, who actually has his own spin-off show, which is great. But he kind of represents freedom and like luck for Walt because he's able to help him get out of a lot of situations. And even though Walt's never really gonna become actually free, I feel like it symbolizes like, the money and everything that he's doing for his family. Like that is like what's driving him, he thinks, to do everything he's doing, but in reality it's actually like power and everything like that. And then I drew a cactus too, just because it's set in New Mexico, and like the setting really helps the story evolve, I feel like, because a lot of the stuff that they do, like cooking meth and shooting people and drug deals and whatnot, would not happen if it was in some like bustling city. So like the setting definitely uh, transforms the entire story. I drew this plate too. Doesn't really have to do with anything green, but there's a scene where Walt is holding someone captive and he doesn't want to kill him because he still has this moral like uh, passion in him somehow, and he had broken a plate when he had fallen. Whatever. Long story short, there was a piece of the plate that was missing because he suspected that the hostage was going to stab him with the piece. So he looked in the garbage can and he matched up all of the pieces of the plate, and there was a piece left that looked like a dagger. And so he was like, "Yeah, this guy's gonna kill me. I gotta kill him." So I just thought that was a cool thing to add. But then back to this like black section. I like I said, black symbolizes like power. It also symbolizes death, obviously. So I did like the poison, like skull and crossbones symbol, and then like the bomb. But mostly, I think uh, power is what drives Walt to do everything that he does in the show, and all of his people that like get in the way of him doing what he wants to do. It's a lot of different symbols of power. One of them is when he puts on his hat, his black hat, and it kind of, after he shaves his head, he turns into this, persona. And then when he puts the hat on, like he finally is Walter White, or a Heisenberg, I should say. Um, and he is like this character that everyone kind of knows, and even Hank, his brother-in-law, is like looking for. They know the name Heisenberg and the drawing of it, but they don't know it's actually him, which is what helps him get as far as he does. And then I included some like uh, quotes that he said that kind of add to this like power strike that he has. He says, "I am the danger," uh, which I think is one of my favorite quotes. Um, but now let's go into like this white section I tried to do over here. Walt, throughout the whole show, tries to preserve, this innocence. Like he doesn't want to get his family involved in anything that he's doing. Obviously, he keeps a lot of things secret. Obviously, like his cancer at the beginning of the movie or the show. What am I saying? Um, and he also tries to preserve innocence in a sense with Jesse. He's a high school. He was his former high school student, and so like it's hard for him to preserve that sense of innocence when he is, having him get involved with this meth business. But that Jesse, in the end, is this symbol of like purity and innocence, whereas Walt has turned completely bad, or he's broke bad, as they would say. But then there's this like Lily of the Valley, which, if you watch this show, it's a symbol for Walt, who poisons one of Jesse's girlfriend's kids. It's just a long story, but he he feeds it to him in like this cigarette, and that actually doesn't happen. He doesn't feed it a cigarette. I forgot how he does it exactly. It's been a while since I watched the show. But the last episode of season 4, when you finally realize that Walt actually poisoned this kid in order to get out of danger, it's kind of like it shows that Walt has um, lost all sense of morals and all sense of righteousness, and it kind of just shows like the lengths that he'll go to try and achieve this power and this money that he's trying to get. And then I drew this these underwear this underwear sketch because, like I said, he wears the apron, right? But like usually he doesn't wear any clothes, and so he is seen a lot of times cooking meth in just his white underwear, and I just think that's really funny. Um, I drew this little bell because it's Hector Salamanca, who is like one of the cartel leaders. He actually is disabled, and he has a bell that he uses to speak with, and it actually helps Walt a lot of the times get a lot of situations get ahead in a lot of situations because um, it helps him with the DEA, and it also helps him get by with Gustavo Fring. It actually is what kills Gustavo Fring. And that's what kind of got me into like this pink section here. I drew, this is one of the biggest symbols in season 2, and it's like a flashback, or sorry, it's a flash forward symbol, the bear. Um, it's halfway charred, and so like one of the eyes is out, and it's like laying in a pool, and you come to find out that it's from the plane crash that Walt causes, not directly, but he causes when he lets Jane die. And when Jane dies, who's Jesse's girlfriend, Jane's dad actually goes crazy because he's an air traffic controller, and he caused the plane to die, or the plane to crash and the people to die. And so you learn that the bear has fallen from the plane crash. And so in season 4, when Gus dies, when he's exploded from the bell contraption that Walt comes up with, he loses one eye, and his half of his face is just charred, and it kind of, both of those symbols are supposed to relate to each other, and it's just a really interesting like aha moment as a viewer to kind of understand that. Pinkman is included in this like pink symbolism area because he, like I said before, represents innocence and purity. I drew this little bear hoodie, it's supposed to be, which is supposed to be Holly, who is Walt's baby, and throughout the whole show he's like, I'm doing all this for my family, and like really he is hurting his family. And so like I was just trying to show one of the most innocent characters in the show that he's hurting. And then I add a little purple bit here. Deception is kind of what I gathered from this purple feature that they include in the TV show. Marie, who is Hank's brother, oh my gosh, who is Hank's wife, is wearing purple throughout the entire show. Her whole house is purple. Everything she wears is purple, like I said. And she is a pathological liar. I would like to think, and she's also a kleptomaniac. So she has a problem with stealing. And actually, one of the episodes, she steals a tiara for Holly's baby shower, and so that's why I drew the tiara. But there's a lot of other examples of deception in the show, and a lot of other characters that wear purple when they are being deceitful or lying to someone. And then next is this like red section. Over here, I drew this red room, which is the